The classic Cessna 172 just got a major brain transplant. With Sim update number 5, Microsoft Flight Simulator has officially added the Avidyne IFD 540 and 550 to our favorite flight school workhorse. Today we're moving away from the old GNS 530 and stepping into the world of hybrid touchscreens, synthetic vision and smarter flight planning. Let's see if this upgrade makes the Skyhawk the ultimate IFR platform. First things first, you won't find the Avidyne by simply clicking a button in the cockpit. You will need to select it from the configurations. So if you go to the Cessna 172, you will now find some new configurations in the configuration overview. It might require you to scroll a little bit further because they are a little bit at the end, but here you can see the IFD ones. Those are the ones which you're looking for. So once you select it, you will see that also this will be updated. It now says IFD instruments. Once you've done that, you can simply, let's say, spawn the aircraft on one of the parking spots or runways. So let's do that. So we're inside the cockpit, right? So let's have a look at how it works. So to do that, we're gonna press Shift and then the number 2, which brings us to the nice displays. And the nice thing is that it's, as I already mentioned in the intro of this video, it contains a touchscreen. So you can simply press it and then it will simply, let's say, fix things for you. Currently, you can see that only one item has been added to the flight plan, but we're gonna start at the top because at the top we can see a lot of interesting information. These systems, by the way, the IFD 540, oh no, sorry, 540 and 550, but I said it differently, right? This is the 540, and on the top you have got the 550, are interconnected to each other. So you can simply, let's say, use them in combination. Let me reset the view. By default, the IFD 550 opens with the system page on the aux button, and there you can see the fuel flow, the used, the remaining, and the time, remaining flight time, or let's say flight time, let's say with taken into account the view. You can see the alerts, you can see the setup, and the setup is pretty interesting because in the setup you can make changes to the different parts of the system. For example, you can change specific things about the radio. If you click it, you can use the large knob to move to all the options and then simply change things. For example, if I don't like the terrain options, I can double click it and then use the large knob to move. This contains a lot of options, so I would recommend you to have a look at it, especially the one with the alerts can be pretty interesting. For example, the top of descent alert, which you can get, the let's say switch tanks alert. Never, well, you might want to have it. These are also known as the presets, right? So what you can do is you can define presets for the map detail as well as for the let's say data block. And here you can see you can either download the factory settings, set it to the IFR settings, VFR settings, and for the data block one, it is, I would say, likely this, right? So left side factory settings, left side traffic, left side transponder. Depending on what you want, you can use those predefined setups. So pretty cool. Now we looked at that, we're going to go to the utility one, which is simply the countdown clock or timer. In this case, the timer, because as you can see, the trip timer simply starts at power on. So this is the time since the engine has started. You can reset it, but you can also set it to from takeoff. The same thing is applicable for the event timers. You can see that this one doesn't update as regularly as you can see because this is where it simply started. On the top, you get a generic timer, which you can also use. Then we got the audio one, which allows you to do the volume control of the individual things, like the active radio, standby radio. So that's also super useful. Now, one thing which I didn't show you yet is if you go to the systems one, by default the fuel management is activated. But if you want to see the GPS status, you can simply press the GPS and that will show you the GPS information, right? All the satellite signals and the rest of the details. So super nice. Now the next button, of course, is the map button, and the map button simply shows you the map but also the weather. So you can see the weather is pretty bad. It's red, so likely that's not very good. And if you don't want to see the weather, you can simply say disable it by using this option. In some cases I see that it didn't work 100%, so be aware of that. Besides that, you've got the nav option, and the nav option, this will allow you to change the number of, say, navigation options or navigation aids on the map. Here you can see the difference, right? See them? They become less, and here they become massive. The same thing is for the land, where you can change the land layout. So if you press it once, it will be like this, 2 it will be like this, 3 will be like that, and maximum you will get the maximum details. Right, so have a look at it, pretty interesting. Besides that, there is that nice chart option, as you can see here. So to use the chart option, there are a few things which you can do. First of all, you need to zoom into something which is interesting. In this case, you can see that I can move around using my, let's say, mouse by touching the screen. You can see that I can also zoom into Rotterdam The Hague Airport. I can click on the airport. I can click on certain nav aids in some cases. And this normally would show up the map. Not always, but if you can have access to the map, you will see an option over here on the right side. But another way to do that is to press the select chart option and then simply provide the airport in this case. So I'm gonna double click and I'm gonna select airport. That was the case, sorry. Also learning this one. So you need to press the button over there and then you type in the airport. Now it became a mess. Romeo Delta. It's making a mess of it. Echo Hotel Romeo Delta. Why doesn't it allow me to do? Come on. It selects an airport which I don't want. And this is, I would say, something which I would say also was experiencing while testing it earlier. So keep that in mind, that it sometimes works a little bit strange. I'm not sure if this is due to the fact that it's the first version of the airport, so now we'll press EHAM. Right, normally you would also be able to let's say add Rotterdam The Hague Airport, and based on that you can select the map, right? You can scroll using the large knob, you can select, or you can scroll to the, say, maps, and then simply click the map, and then it will open it in the view. So super nice, because you can now zoom using this large knob into the specific, let's say, chart, or zoom out depending on what you prefer. And you can also navigate or move around by using that, I would say, mouse on the map. Now if you don't want to see it anymore, you simply click on the map and then you're back to the map, which also has the data on the right side, where you can see the DTK, the distance to the say next nav aid, the destination airport, the ground speed, the tracking, the flight timer, and a lot of other cool things. And of course you can zoom in or out also on this map. Now before I want to show you the FMS one, I'm gonna jump to the SVS one, where you normally would see this view. But if you prefer to have this view, a little bit like the synthetic vision in the G1000, you will see this, and that's really easy, on, off. You can't do more or less. Which also brings us to the buttons on the left side, right? Because we didn't discover them yet. Here you can see the navigation frequencies, but also the communication frequencies, as well as the transponder mode and transponder code. That's really important for you, right? You need to keep that in mind, so be aware of that. And then the most important button, or maybe it is the FMS. The FMS contains the option to define the flight plan. You can see currently this is the originating airport, but you will see in Flight Simulator 2024 that it sometimes doesn't load this. If that happens, no worries, because you can simply add it by clicking, and I will show you in a few seconds how you can add nav aids. The cool thing about this is that you can also open the chart. So if you would normally select the chart, so let me try it. You will be able to go to the chart by pressing that option, and then you will get a chart overview of the airport. So I found this one super nice. So don't worry, simply click on the FMAS, click on this icon, and it will bring you to the chart. Now let's assume that we want to really plan a flight. Well, this is originating, so I can press departure, and if I press departure, I get a list of departures. For those who are not aware of this, these are the standard instrumental departures, which are predefined routes to, or I would say outbound from the airport or outbound from the runway. And this is a long list, as you can see, and you can use that large knob again to go to it. Now, if you don't know, I would say how those, let's say, SIDs or where those SIDs are bringing you to, you can always use the EFB, right? Let me show it from the start. If you go to the EFB, you need to go to the flight planner. Then what you need to do is on the airport, click on more info, which will bring you to this page. Click the chart option, then click the SID chart, and that's where you will see this one. Of course, you could also use the built-in option, right, where you see the chart in the Avidyne, but I would say you can use them also in combination. It's really up to you. And here you can see that we can select, for example, Woody to A or one of the other ones to fly, I would say, to the south. So let's do that. So we're gonna press it, and then you see this. What you now also see is that the view is expanded. That's over here. So I can compact it, then it will show all the individual nav aids which are part of that SID. But if I want to see them, I can simply click the button again, and I can see the expanded view. At the bottom, by the way, you can also see that it's completely in sync. So what I do here is also being added here. Now what if I want to add another nav aid? Well, I simply press the option, and then we'll bring up this one. So I can either say I want to hold at Woody, right? I want to say simply make a circle and then wait for permission, or I want to add a waypoint. Now if I press the add a waypoint, it brings up this window. Now there are two things which you can do. You can either define a nav aid. So let me do that. Let me show you which one I'm going to add. Normally you would do this using a SimBrief or a little nav map, right? You would plan your flight, but I'm going to do it a little bit more ad hoc, as you can see. So what I want to do, Woody is over here. So let's try to add Putty. So I'm going to say, whoa. Can I close this one? Say P-U-T-T-Y and then hit enter. If for some reason it finds 2 or 3 or 4, because there are some cases where there are multiple, say, nav aids with the same name, then make sure to select the correct one, because else it might send you to the other end of the world. Now we've added Putty, right? Papa Uniform Tango Tango Yankee, which brings us over here. I might want to fly to, for example, let's say, where do we want to fly to, right? Where are we? Here we are. So let's assume that we want to fly to, in this case, Echo Bravo Hotel November. Let's add that one, because this is likely an airport and we can always select it. You can see it, right? More info, and then I can see what it is. In this case, it's an airport, right? Let's go to Hoevenen. So let me do that. So I will simply click that line again at the waypoint, Echo Bravo, and then I already lost it. Oh, sorry, that was a different window. Tap on Hotel November, hit enter, and then you can see the destination is there. So that's also a weird thing, which I also was thinking about. How can I add my destination? But that simply is by adding another airport. And then you can see the green check mark here. You can see the distance. You can see the bearing. And if you scroll down, you can also add some other things like cross EHBN. And then you can also set the feed. But that will be covered in a future video. Now, if you're happy with the flight plan, you simply press the activate flight plan, and that will make this one active. So in this case, the next active one, it will climb to 500 feet and then fly this course, right? It gives you the instructions about what you need to do. You can also see that you can change the active lags if you want to do that. So for example, if I press this one, I can press active lag, it will activate that lag. I can do sequence lag. I can delete the flight plan also if I do want, but that one is on the bottom. So this is really how it works. Now, besides that, what I now can do, since I added everything, I can go to the info option, and the info option simply gives me the general information, the communication information, the runways and the nearby nav aids, as well as departures and destinations. And once I click them, I can get a preview. Remember, I told you you can go to the EFB. Now you know a second way, you can also view them here. Super nice. In addition to that, you can add user waypoints, which we will cover in a later video, and also the nearest ones if you want to simply fly directly to, right? Let's think about scenario. We're on our way and for some reason we need to land as soon as possible. You would likely use the direct to option and then select the airport which you want to fly to directly. This works exactly the same, so you press the airport, you press it in some cases multiple times, then you press direct again. That will bring up this one. You say, okay, hey, this is the one I want to fly directly to, or I want to fly to a different one. You can also press the direct to option, but let me show you the correct way. So I'm gonna go to, in this case, direct to, then hit enter, because that was the button. Sorry, I showed it incorrectly, and then hit deactivate. And then it has added this one as the direct to. So we're now flying directly to this beacon. So we're skipping rest, we're directly flying to this one. And that's how it works, right? So I can say activate lag. And it will say simply remove the previous one and simply make the, I would say RD157 the active lag. But again, I want to get deleted. I press delete and now the complete flight plan is gone. That's how easy it works. The Avidyne IFD units breathe new life into the 172. They bridge the gap between old school flying and modern glass cockpit convenience. But what do you think? Are you sticking with the classic knobs of the 530, or is the IFD your new daily driver? Let me know in the comment box, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos about Flight Simulator 2024. And of course also about this Avidyne navigation system. Thanks for watching and hope to see you back next time.